What's up guys, Jake Lowry here, and today we are very excited because we are going to be doing a Texas white bass run catch and cook. We're going to be fishing for one of the most fun fish to catch in Texas, and that's right, we're going to be bringing them home today and eating them, maybe testing out a brand new recipe for white bass to see how well they taste, because to be honest guys, I have never tried them before. We are at a spot that we went to a couple weeks ago and we were actually relatively unsuccessful. We landed one white bass, which is not a lot of white bass for what I have been seeing online. Since then, I think the run has absolutely picked up and there are going to be a lot more white bass in this river, and it's going to make the fishing a lot better. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm also more excited to be bringing these things home and eating them, because catching and cooking fish is one of the most rewarding aspects of fishing. Now that said, why don't we take a look at the baits we picked up today, and then we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get on the water and we're going to get fishing, because I think it is going to be a very, very fun morning. All right, everything I picked up for the white bass fishing is in this bag that I got from Walmart yesterday. Why don't we go through it? I'm going to go through them real quick, but I think you guys will sense a relative theme with the white bass baits and the style of baits we're going to be needing to fish with today. The first thing I picked up today was some trot line that I'm going to use as a stringer. Walmart didn't have a stringer, and when you're keeping fish, you need to store your fish somewhere. So trot line is going to be the strategy today. I'm going to make a very simple stringer with the trot line, and I think it's going to work just fine. Next thing I purchased is two things. We have a essentially curly tail crappie bait right here. It is white with a yellow tail, and then I bought some white jig heads. This seemed to be the general strategy everyone was using, was just a small soft plastic with some white jig heads. That is what everyone was catching a ton of fish on. They were throwing that in a double rig, so they had two jig heads tied onto one rig, and I think that helps those fish see the baits a little better in that muddy water, which I think is going to be an absolute game changer. Now, I picked up a couple more baits that aren't similar to what everyone else was using, but I think they actually might give me a little edge for the fishing, so why don't we take a look at those. The first one is this little black swimming bait with a blade. So this essentially is like a little spinner bait. This thing looks absolutely money. First reason is it's black and the fish are going to be able to see it a lot better underwater, and then the second reason, it has that flash, right? So that muddy water, this bait is probably going to work just a little better than the other ones. And then really guys, the last thing I picked up was this power bait Poggy swim shad, and I picked this up in a chartreuse and white color. I think this is going to work pretty solid, and it's giving me an alternative color to either white or black. I also have chartreuse, which if those fish are on a chartreuse color might work really well. So really the theme that we're going with is a very small bait fish, right? And we're more going with numbers of lures, not as much quality of lures. Reason being, this is a very brushy creek, and I'm probably going to lose a couple rigs today because you want to get that lure near the bottom, and having a bunch of different lures that are relatively cheap is going to help us not be worried about losing baits today. That said, I think we have a very solid setup for the morning. I'm going to get rigged up and then we're going to walk down to the creek, and I'm actually very excited to hopefully start catching fish not too early. All right guys, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make a stringer just out of trot line without, using a store-bought stringer. So I bought this trot line yesterday at Walmart. I'm going to get it cut open right there, and you really can use any type of string for this, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to take off probably a maybe 6 foot long section of this trot line right here, and I'm going to slice it at the end. All you need to do guys is on one end of this line tie a loop. So I'm just going to go do an overhand braided knot, a brain knot right there, tie that loop, and then the next thing I'm going to do is find a stick right here that is strong enough to hold the fish, but also thin enough to get through the fish's gill. So a straight section of stick right here, and that section right there looks like the perfect size. And you want to tie it so you're entering the gills against the grain of those little branches that come off. So I'm going to tie it down here, maybe cut off just a hair. And then all I'm going to do here is tie just an overhand knot on that stick with this trot line, and then an extra overhand for safe measures. There we go, and that's not going anywhere. Okay, so I could store this as easy as a stringer, and when I get that fish, I stick this through the fish's gill and out its mouth, and then put this through the loop right here, and that fish ends up in that loop of that line, and it is not going anywhere. And then why don't we take a look at the rig we're using today. I have just that black spinnerbait tied on. This thing has a nice little blade, and then that black little swim bait that's going to give me an advantage in this murky water. And we're going to walk down to the creek, guys, and see if we can't start catching some fish. Decent spot to start off with. The creek is definitely much higher than the last time I was here, but that could help us because we know where the interesting little spots are. So why don't we make a first cast through here and see if we can't hook up on a white bass. It's like I picked up something in the water and this thing wasn't spinning, so that's something we're gonna have to watch for sure. This actually looks like a pretty solid spot to be fishing from. Pretty wide open, not a lot of brush. Hopefully a lot of white bass. Come on. So essentially what happens in Texas is every spring the white bass move up into the creeks that are above the reservoirs to spawn in the creeks. And you end up with a giant run of feeding fish in the creeks, and it lets people who bank fish be able to access white bass fishing, because generally it's a big Texas lake and reservoir strategy. It's not necessarily, okay, I'm feeling something. It's not necessarily something that people who bank fish have access to. And it really makes for some of the most fun bank fishing / creek fishing you can do in Texas. Whoa, what the hell was that? Big white bass? That was crazy. They're in here. That would be sick if I caught something that big. Oh, it's a gar. Oh, I see. That's a pretty big gar for this little creek. Yes, sir.
Biting?
What?
As a bite?
I don't think I've gotten any bites yet so far. Yeah.
Hello.
Saw a big gar.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw 3 times the big gar.
He's like right out in front of us.
Scary.
It's like, oh, what is that? How long have you been here this morning?
Well, being here,
No fish?
No fish.
Oh boy. Guy said he's been here an hour and a half. No fish. Fishing was better 2 days ago. So that means probably knows how to catch fish here. And if he's been here an hour and a half and no fish, whew, we might have a struggle bus on our hands. All right, I'm going to put on a different color lure because I feel like this black one isn't working very well, and then maybe we'll be able to catch something. So far, maybe a bite, maybe not entirely sure. And not a lot of people are catching fish around me. Last time there were quite a few people with quite a few stringers, and I was the only one that wasn't catching fish, so maybe that'll change, but so far not looking too great. So my next strategy is going to be this double rig right here with 2 of these jig heads, and we're going to see if maybe that'll help the situation. All right, there is our double rig right there. That is what's going to bring us to glory with these white bass right here. Let's get my backpack back on, and then we're going to start fishing once again. Let's get down to the stick. There we go. Perfect cast. That felt like a bite. Maybe I'm just not capitalizing on them. Yes, there it is. There it is. Huh. That is way too small to keep, but that is the first white bass of the day. We really need something 10 inches or bigger. That thing was about 4 inches, so not gonna cut it. But this seems to be like a good spot right here. They're biting very subtly, which tells me they're probably small, but we will see. New spot. We're gonna do a little hiking. This is the same trail I was on last time. I never really fished this section with the right baits. So I think I'm gonna, kind of get away from most people. I feel like there's white bass in this creek. I got some pretty big bites. I just feel like, it's a big creek. Why am I fishing next to like 50 different people? Just only because I don't want to walk. Seems like a dumb thing. So I'm gonna walk back in here. I don't know, maybe half mile. See if I can't find a good hole. Hang out there for a while. Use a similar strategy where cast in the same spot over and over again, wait for those fish to fill in, but just avoid all the people. There's like a bunch of random ass log jams through here, and it's just like takes one of those to stop the fish from migrating upriver. That can be the difference between you catching a ton of fish and you catching not a lot. So if we can find maybe one of those log jams and fish right behind it, maybe that's where these fish are holding. hopefully. We're about, I don't know, 30 yards from one. This looks like a major bushwhack, but we're gonna do it. What the hell? Anyone is willing to go this far for some white bass. Is it even possible for a white bass to get over this, is my question. And if it isn't, is it possible that all the white bass in this river are stuck right here? Maybe. Test that theory. This log is nice and big enough for me to walk all the way out on. I don't think anyone's out here has done this, so hopefully, maybe, surely. Looks like I can do a little climbing. I mean, this looks like a money spot. Big, flat area to stand on too. Ooh. Like, these fish have to do some crazy salmon stuff to get up this. Come on. Uh-oh. I didn't even think that that was a consideration, guys. Wow. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to, re-rig, but see if I can get that stick. Apparently the stick and the line is stronger than the rod. Looks like I'm gonna need a new spinning rod. Alright, maybe we can catch some broken rod white bass. Maybe that's what we need to help. It's exactly what I need, guys. Broken rod fish, come on. There it is. Oh my gosh, finally. The broken rod. I've been struggling. That's definitely over 10 inches too. Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, guys, finally. I've been struggling all morning to catch one, and I finally catch one. Ah, okay. All right. Definitely 10 inches. Let's see. We want to confirm this, so I'm going to say, okay, my iPhone 13 is 5.78 inches, so if this is two iPhones, definitely two iPhones, guys. Let's see, from there. Yep. With 1.5 inches to spare. Now I need to, I guess, get this thing on the stringer. There we go. Ah, this might be fucked up. Okay, got it. All right. There we go. There's the jerry I'm doing. I'm balancing on about a 2-inch log right now, trying to tie this knot. By the way, this is probably the stupidest thing I think I've ever done. Okay, there we go. Secure. 20% on the battery left, so probably got another 15, 20 minutes. Hopefully we can catch another. Oh man, that was a workout. But back in action, guys, on top of the log. Fish is down there somewhere, hanging. See if we can't catch fish number 2 and have ourselves maybe a little snack. To that flat area. There we go. Yep, there he is. I knew there was a fish in there. Oh no, that's a nice one too. Come on. All right. Nice, guys. Fish number 2. Nice. Okay. Second fish of the day. Another dinky one, but again, let's do the phone test. From there to there. All right, definitely 10 inches. I don't know if the DNR would approve of this, but if an iPhone 13 is 5.78 inches and I'm more than 2 iPhones, I'm definitely more than 10 inches, which is the bag limit. Okay, now we're gonna have to pretty much go through another little hike down in here. I don't want to bring this. And I think we're kind of developing a slight pattern, which is huge because that is going to help us out quite a bit. All right, I'm gonna get this thing on the stringer. You already see what I need to go through to do that. 7% battery. I'm stopping the video and then we're gonna see if we can't catch maybe one more in the spot. That is going to wrap up the fishing portion of this video, but stay tuned. We are going to take these bad boys home. We are going to cook them up. I have some very, very solid ideas for what recipe we're going to use. And I'm actually very curious to taste the Texas white bass and see if they are delicious or not really worth the hassle. But we had a very solid time fishing, to be honest, guys. That bushwhack at the end definitely was very, very fun, but we kind of figured out that those fish couldn't get upriver beyond that dam, and I think what was happening is they were all just sitting right below there, and that is why we ended up catching our fish. Now, Texas bag limit is 25 white bass. You can only catch fish over 10 inches. Measure against something trick, and we were definitely over 10 inches there, so we are good to go on our keeping of the fish, and all we have to do is keep these fish cold in the cooler, and hopefully not too long we have some nice warm crispy fish. So stay tuned, guys. Got about an hour drive and then we'll be back at home on the Blackstone. All right, guys, we have the fillets that we got from those fish, nice and cut up into fish-sized bites, and then I did equal parts Old Bay and flour as breading and just flipped it a couple times. We got just a nice thin layer of breading on those things. I don't want to get a super thick layer of breading on these. I just want to get just enough to be crispy. Anyways, just enough to be crispy. I think these are going to be absolutely amazing. We have the Blackstone warming up right now. Halfway through warm up, we're going to get it oiled up, and I'm going to spread this oil out, get the Blackstone nice and hot before I put these fish on, just so we can get them nice and crispy. And really, guys, I know I'm going to enjoy these, but the biggest thing is going to be whether or not Gracie enjoys these, because if she does, we might have to go back there again and probably eat more fish. So we will see. Well, it appears we are out of propane. We're going to have to run and go get some propane, and we'll come back here and get these fish on the Blackstone. Just a short delay, not a huge deal. All right, we have returned with the propane. Just a small hiccup, not a mountain. Let's get this thing on here and let's start cooking. Because I'm kind of getting hungry. It's been a while since I ate.
Tony, come.
This is the most work I've ever done to get propane.
No, for fried fish.
Yeah, it's been like 12 hours. It's actually insane. This is ridiculous. All right, guys, we finally have the grill back up and running. More propane tanks and beer this afternoon. Hopefully, in not too long, we're going to be cooking fish. This thing needs to reheat up. It's been about 30 minutes to an hour since the last time we had it on. And once it's heated up, we're going to get those fish on and do the taste test. But we have really gone through a lot of it tonight.
We have.
3 propane tanks, right? Yep. Neighbors' dogs, our dogs. Been a grind, but hopefully this fish is all worth it. Okay, the Blackstone is at 450 degrees, which means we are ready to start cooking. Finally. I'm just going to get some butter on there and hold it in pretty much the same spot. I'm trying to develop like almost a film of butter that I could put these fish on. That way, it's like they're getting fried, but really, we don't want a deep fry, we want a pan fry so they get a nice crust on them, right? All right, now let's go in with the fish. Get a close-up shot of this. I have never tried white bass, and I've heard great things. I've heard like it tastes like crappie, and in general, bass tastes actually pretty good. So we're gonna see what this thing tastes like, and maybe it tastes like, you know, striper or rockfish, or maybe it just tastes like a good old sunny. So we're gonna see that not too long after these things are cooked, and hopefully these things get real crispy, guys. Ooh, that one looks good. Definitely want to err on the side of well done with the refinery caught fish, but we don't want to make it too dry. All right, we are ready to go off. Oh, okay. First bite, maybe a slight too much salt, but I think these are going to be pretty tasty. What do you think, Gracie?
I think they might be too salty. That's my concern.
Okay, I will say I did get a preliminary taste while I was cooking them, and, you know, it was okay. So why don't you give a taste first, and then I'll taste. And then I want to see, out of 10, what Gracie thinks of the fish caught from the dingy little creek in Texas.
I'm brushing off some salt.
Okay, definitely not like fried chicken like crispiness. Definitely has like a almost blackened coating, but what do you think? Okay, I'll give my rating first. Honestly, the bite I had first was not looking good. It almost tasted like too fishy, and maybe that was because there was a lot of blood or like a lot of blood lime in the bite that I had, but the bite I just had was delicious. That was like some of the best fish I think I've ever had that I've caught. Definitely on par with like a crappie
Yeah.
or like a walleye style fish. But out of 10, I think I give it like a 8 out of 10, so pretty solid. 10 out of 10 being like tuna. What do you
I was
think?
thinking 8 out of 10. Like if I got that in a fish taco,
You'd be
I
happy?
would be happy. It's a little mushy. The
Yeah.
texture is a little mushy, but I like the flavor. Yeah. It's just a little mushy.
Mm-hmm. It almost does give me catfish vibes. Like it's not very flaky like a
No.
cod or something. It's almost more
Yeah.
catfish.
Yeah.
Like mushy is a good way to put it. I'm glad you guys made it this far in the video. Thank you. We appreciate it. If you like these types of videos, let me know in the comments down below. I actually enjoy making them, and it kind of brings me back to be able to catch fish and then cook them, clean them and cook them as well. And it is definitely something that I enjoy doing. So let me know if you guys enjoy watching it as well. And Gracie, do you enjoy it?
Yes.
She reaps only the benefits of it. But anyways, guys, if you like this video, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and we will catch you guys next time.